Welcome back to the Smugsy Show. I'm Smugsy, your host, identifying as the Barstool Cougar. Every Wednesday we meet here to talk about important things and important people. This week, I'll tell you what makes a mean girl mean, and it's not always a girl. Spoiler alert. But first, the Smugsy Show is presented to you by Smugsy, sleek and elegant joint ciggies made with organic cannabis rolled in all natural, locally sourced paper. Look for Smugsy in the pretty indigo and marigold packs. All right, well, when I'm not identifying as the Barstool Cougar, the Cougars being the exclusive fan club for women who like dogs, I am a legal expert of sorts and have been called in as a trusted analyst to decipher and determine who are the mean girls in two situations this week that are in the headlines. The first being, of course, at Barstool Sports involving Alex Bennett and Hannah the Cook, and the second being here in Maine, where the Washington Post reports today that two broadcasters body-shamed girls during a high school basketball game and were fired. So, what's the verdict? Well, I'll jump right to it. The mean girls are boys. Surprise, surprise, right? All right, well, let's start at the beginning. 3 years ago, Alex Bennett from Oklahoma. Okay, Alex Bennett and her mother came to Barstool Sports from Oklahoma. That play from Rodgers and Hammerstein. It's a good play. And they came over from Oklahoma. The only thing Content Kim, the mother, packed was 2 cocktail mixers. So I like her already. They came over from Oklahoma. Alex Bennett was living in a building where Daniel Bernstein was also living, and had the opportunity to personally observe Daniel Bernstein photoshopping. She would see Daniel Bernstein in the lobby, right, looking like this, and then she'd see a photo on Instagram looking like, this. And Alex Bennett wrote on Instagram, Photoshop, Daniel Bernstein's Instagram account. Daniel Bernstein blocked her. That's the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles, right? They were in New York. They weren't in Kansas anymore. 3 years later, Alex Bennett, minding her own business, on a podcast called Blocked, she's asked the question, hey, have you ever been blocked? Alex Bennett says, yeah, as a matter of fact, 3 years ago I was blocked by Daniel Bernstein because I wrote on her Instagram that she was photoshopping pictures, and she was. Daniel Bernstein, meanwhile, apparently was listening to that show, Blocked, which is weird. I mean, how much of an influencer can she be? But she heard this conversation about her photos being tagged as being photoshopped and texted Dave Portnoy, because they're like buddies from the Hamptons. She says, Dave, your girl saying I photoshopped my pictures. It's not cool. Dave Portnoy's like, oh, I'll take care of it. He calls his employee, Alex Bennett, and says she's a mean girl. And he says she's a mean girl for writing photoshopped on Daniel Bernstein's Instagram. And Alex Bennett's like, yeah, but she did Photoshop. So was she the mean girl? Absolutely not. Dave Portnoy told her, take down the video or leave it up, but tell everyone I told you to take it down. Alex Bennett decides to take down the video, nevertheless accused of being a mean girl. I say she's absolutely not a mean girl. The truth will set you free. She said the photos were shopped. They were photoshopped. She's not a mean girl. Now, her judgment is impaired, but that's because she drinks too much. But that's not her fault, because her mother, as I said, only packed 2 mixers when she moved from Oklahoma. So she drinks too much, Alex Bennett, and after another show, The Yak, was produced, everyone's out drinking except Brandon Walker. Remember that. That's an important fact. Everyone's out drinking, and Alex Bennett drinks too much and falls asleep. Her friend, meanwhile, Hannah Cook, who usually drags her home, went home herself, and then, in a moment of guilt, decided, I better call and check on Alex. So calls Alex's phone. Caitlin, the baby, picks up the phone because she's still at the bar with Alex Bennett. So you got Hannah the cook calling Alex Bennett. Caitlin the baby picks up the phone. Hannah the cook says, let me speak to Alex. Caitlin says she's hammered. A conversation ensues. Brandon Walker then tells everybody, tells the world, that Hannah the cook told his baby sister that she couldn't mingle with Alex Bennett while she was passed out at the bar. That she couldn't hang out with her because Alex Bennett is content, and Caitlin, the baby, she does travel. Now, Brandon Walker made that allegation, but as I said, he was not present, so his testimony is not admissible. It's total hearsay. Whereas Alex Bennett, she saw the Photoshop. Brandon Walker is the mean girl because he lied about what was said to stir the pot. And the truth is, right, the truth is that Alex Bennett can hold her own in an argument. She can't hold her liquor. It doesn't make her a mean girl. Okay, now let's talk about what happened in Maine, because it's almost the exact same thing. You've probably read about it in the Washington Post today. Okay, it's all over the news. 2 broadcasters body-shamed girls during a high school basketball game. They were quickly fired. So this all revolves around the theme, right, of being fat, girls being fat, kids being fat. I mean, let's face it, we're all in an epidemic. It's not just COVID. We're in an obesity epidemic. Over 20% of kids are obese. Now, the question is, do we talk about that or do we deny it? Now, if it was climate, right, climate deniers, they're like the pariah. But when it comes to fat denial, it's all messed up, okay? So in the situation in Maine, we have these kids, let's just call them the Fat Bears, okay? That's the team in Aroostook County, girls basketball team. On the team are some kids who are fat. It's just the truth. 2 guys, okay? Steve Shaw, Jim Carter, old timers, right? Codgers, been around the world 1,000 times, devoted their whole life, really, to sports and kids. Shaw's in the Hall of Fame for basketball. They're doing a play-by-play on a local radio station. Great fun, great community radio, right? The play-by-play for the high school basketball, very, very exciting. They're watching one game thinking that their mics are off, but their mics were not off. And they made these comments. 2 girls out here are extremely overweight, awful. How come you don't get uniforms that fit the girls? Okay? And now, that was broadcast unintentionally, obviously not a good thing. However, like the photos that were photoshopped, I mean, the girls are fat, and it is awful. The obesity epidemic, not the girls, obviously not the girls, but the obesity epidemic is awful. And so the question is, are they mean girls for saying it? I don't think so. You know who I think the mean girl is in this situation? I think the mean girls are the news outlets that prefaced the stories about what happened with warnings, trigger warnings, saying that they're about to hear very strong language involving high school girls. Strong language? 2 girls out here, extremely overweight, awful. How come you don't get uniforms that fit the girls? Those are true statements. So you say Photoshop, right? That makes you... If you say Photoshop, I guess that says you're fat. That's what Dave Portnoy says. If you accuse someone of photoshopping, you're accusing them of being fat, and that's not good. But then if you say that you're fat, that means you suck. I mean, there's no way you can win. So here's what I would say to the Fat Bears, okay? The truth will set you free. These people who are protecting you are really embarrassing you by not letting you hear the truth. And when you hear the truth of what they said, and what they said is that there are two extremely overweight players and that they should have uniforms that fit, and that it's awful that there's the level of obesity in society. The only thing you can do is control yourself, right? You write your own narrative. And so the coaching that needs to go on is that you tell the girls, the only thing you can do is control yourself, write your own narrative. If you don't want people to say that you're fat, don't be fat, yet unfat. We're not taking care of the girls by denying that they're fat. We're not taking care of the girls by not telling them the truth. And the Smugsy show is about empowerment and writing your own narrative and saying fuck to cancel culture. So we need to come to grips with being fat, owning your fat, and if you don't want to be fat, don't be fat. So mean girls are not just girls, okay? In this day and age, you don't have to be a girl. You can be a boy and be a mean. It's like a trans thing. And the truth hurts, but the truth will set you free. And fat girls, what you really need, and this goes back to Content Kim, the one who packed the 2 cocktail mixers. Well, she, I think, revealed a lot when she showed that her own mother had a remedy for being fat, and that is you get PawPaw's waist twister. It's this gadget that I guess Content Kim's PawPaw's waist twister is what they need. They don't need to be lied to. So that's it for this week's show. Please subscribe to the show. Follow me on Twitter at SmugsyGirl. And until next time, this is Smugsy signing off. Take care.